what the black man and woman needs to know about the nation, about the world, about themselves. Muhammad Speaks It. To order your 12-issue subscription to Muhammad Speaks newspaper, 313-371-7033. 313-371-7033. Kareem Bean Pie is the grand champion of all bean pies. The rich flavor and smooth texture takes this pie to a whole new level of delicious. One bite and you'll understand why people all over the country call daily to order Kareem Bean Pie. 313-371-7033. That's 313-371-7033. Kareem Bean Pie.
This bean pie is delicious.
Muhammad Speaks presents Messenger Elijah Muhammad's Teachings by Minister Khalil Shabazz every Sunday from 2 to 3 p.m. at Muhammad's Temple of Islam, 12609 East McNichols Road in Detroit.
Brothers, we rise for prayer. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent and Merciful, all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent and Merciful, sole Master's Day of Judgment in which we now live. The alone do we serve, and the alone seek for thine help and aid. O Allah, please guide us on the right path of those upon whom thou spill thy favors, not on the path of those upon whom thy wrath is brought down, nor those who go astray after they heard thy teachings. Say he, Allah is one God. Allah is he of whom nothing is independent, but upon whom we all depend. He begetteth not, nor is he begotten, there is none like him. And I bear witness that none is to be served, worship, or praised besides Allah, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad. And I bear witness that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, thy true servant and last apostle. Ameen. We'd like to acknowledge the brothers and sisters that extended us the greetings of Assalamu alaikum. We have Brother Captain Hakeem and the Believers in Richmond. And we have Sister Hala Brooks from California. I just say in the name of Allah, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, and in the name of his last and greatest messenger, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, I'd like to greet the brothers and sisters with the Nation of Islam's greeting words of peace of Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Today we like to talk about the overweight Israelites versus Allah's eat to live. We got this brother. This is IUIC Detroit. This brother says the gods of Islam are all idols. This is what he's saying in Detroit. And when you look at this brother, he a big fat porky pig brother. These be the kind of brothers that we let IUIC disrespect the messenger. This is another picture of a porky pig Israelite. This big brother talking about what is the will of God. Looking like porky pigs. These the type of brothers acting like, so it's okay for this brother who overweight. He looked dirty. He looked like he don't bathe, but he out there acting like I'm just trying to help the black man. Porky pig. Another brother. Porky pig. Talking about, do black women really care for their children? Looking like porky pig. It's like, do you care for yourself? But these be the brothers who be out in the street telling sisters you shouldn't wear pants. But he looked like porky pig. And one of the things, one of the major reasons why it makes me so upset, because these teachings that the messenger taught us has been debated. Our teachings has been through the biggest scrutiny of anybody's teachings in Black America.
That's right.
They did studies on the messenger's teachings. You had scholars and all type of people visit the messenger. We done been to all types of colleges. These porky pig niggas be arguing with people on the sidewalk. They ain't never argued at a college with a person who's equally matched. But because of this hypocrite Louis Eugene, we always got to talk about this hypocrite. He hates the messenger so much that his followers is programmed to hate the messenger. This hypocrite, 91 years old. If them brothers really love, what could Farrakhan do to them? If Troy loved the messenger, this old senile hypocrite all the way in Chicago, if he allowed the FOI to be like FOIU, what this hypocrite really gonna do to him? Nothing. Because the messenger in the laborers meeting, he said you have to expect a brother to be a little bit disobedient. Just a little. You got to expect it. If you got a brother who loves the message, and you got IUIC out here disrespecting the message, you got to expect the brother to fight them eventually. You just got to expect it. You got to expect the FOI who love the message just gonna go to where this big fat porky pig looking nigga is at and just want to see what it do. If you keep talking about us and we love the messenger and love Islam, why wouldn't you expect eventually a FOI might get into a fight with IUIC? But when you look at Troy, who is this hypocrite's minister in Detroit, Muslims been in Detroit for 94 years. All that we have overcome, all that we have been through, brothers been to prison, brothers done got into it with the Pope, all that we done done. But Troy, with all the rest of them brothers, can listen to Porky Pig tell them that they God is an idol. We ain't seen one fight, one argument, one dispute, because they follow this hypocrite. Yes. And this hypocrite hates Allah and the message. So because he hates, he programmed them to hate. So this hypocrite don't have to tell them nothing. They already ain't going to do it because they hate the messenger too. Now let's look at, I want to start with, this comes from a professor. His name is Robert J. Branham. He is the professor of rhetoric at Bates College. I didn't even know you could have a professor of rhetoric. But this person is the professor of rhetoric. It says, I was going on debating Malcolm X's prison debates and public confrontations. They even got the public record of Malcolm X debating in prison. That's how much the teachings of the messenger has been around America hundreds of thousands of times. They even got Malcolm X's debates in prison. So let's look at what he says about Malcolm's debates in prison. It says Norfolk had a fine library of several thousand volumes of prisoners were able to check out books of their choice. Malcolm X became a voracious and critical reader, discovering new evidence to document the Muslims' teachings. That's the first point we like to make. He was corresponding with the message. Just like all of us who are new believers, you take the messenger's teachings and you try to find other stuff that bears witness to what he taught. That's new belief. I don't do that no more. But that's what you do when you knew. Messenger tell you something, you believe in the messenger. You believe he the messenger, you love him, all that. But some of the stuff that the messenger say, you ain't ready to just, wait a minute. I don't know about that. So you try to go and see, okay, let me see and find out, because the messenger told us to do that. He said, check behind me. So as a new believer, messenger tell you all of this stuff, so you believe him, you trust him, but you want to try to find as much as you can that bears witness to what he said. So Malcolm X, being in prison, he began to get, it says Norfolk had a fine library of several thousand volumes, and prisoners were able to check out books of their choice. Malcolm X became a voracious and critical reader, discovering new evidence to document the Muslim teachings. In books ranging from accounts of the slave trade to Milton's Paradise Lost, Malcolm X's prison education, including Elijah Muhammad. Another fact, because these big fat porky pig brothers, they say that Malcolm X really learned from Abba Bivens. This how much they can just freely lie. And this hypocrite Louis Eugene them don't say nothing. They think how they tell the new Israelites is that Abba Bivens now, or whoever they is, it was either Abba Bivens or one of these other people. Because some people say Abba Bivens, some people I heard them say the Yaqub dude. So they say Malcolm was in New York, and Yaqub or Abba Bivens was the one who taught Malcolm the Bible, but he just used to say Elijah Muhammad in the pub. That's what these niggas say. But the chief hypocrite who hates Allah and his messenger says no. So we got the evidence that even in the prison, Malcolm X's education included those books that he was reading in the prison, plus Elijah Muhammad. Because Elijah Muhammad's teachings is number one to a Muslim. You don't trust nobody more than you trust the messenger.
That's right.
But you just won't, when you arguing and debating with people, it's easier to prove the messenger's teachings when you can find something that bears witness to what he said.
Right.
So Malcolm X, it says Malcolm X's prison education, including Elijah Muhammad, writes Baraka, gives him the form with which overtly to combine consciousness with his actual life. Now let's go to what they said about his campus debates. It's a section in the paper that's called Campus Debates. It says many of Malcolm X's debates were held on college campus, where he would be pitted against either another African American political leader or one or more faculty members of the institution he visited. This was Malcolm. Him by himself. With nothing but the teachings of the messenger. Plus other stuff that bears witness to, because the messenger's teachings is what they attack. So he go hit him with the messenger's teachings. This is what Muslims do. You hit him with the messenger first. They ain't gonna believe what then you hit him with the white man or something. That's what you do. You go hit him with the messenger first. You know they ain't gonna believe what he's saying, so you hit him with somebody else. And then they go, oh, okay. That's what you do. That's what Malcolm could do by himself. It says one or more faculty members means scholars, professors. Right. Him by himself. But we'll let this big fat porky pig nigga tell us our God is a height. So let's go on with what it says. It says many of Malcolm X's debates were held on college campuses where he would be pitted against either another African American political leader or one or more faculty members of the institution he visited. He was reported to be the second most popular speaker on college campuses after Barry Goldwater, and drew large audiences, often with the promise of verbal combat. It says, like the traveling pugilists of earlier times, Malcolm X would enter a college town and challenge all comers to go around with the champ, sometimes in a panel or debate experience, he wrote, I find a jam-packed audience to hear me alone, facing 6 or 8 students and faculty scholars, heads of departments such as sociology, psychology, physiology, history, and religion, and each of them coming at me in his specialty. These is facts. But these brothers in IUIC continue to come at us with this stuff that ain't even been proven. They continue, like in this particular article, this brother talking about Prophet Muhammad copied off Israelites. That's how dumb. How can you prove that? When Jesus was on the scene, he told the Jews, my truth, the truth that I speak or my words has no place in you. Jesus told them that a Jew makes a person twofold times the devil they was before. That's what Jesus said. Jesus said, ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your fathers ye will do.
That's exactly.
He was a murderer from the beginning, and a liar and the father of the lies. This is what Jesus told the Jews. Also, let's just go with a minister for the message. To show you how dumb it is for an Israelite to tell us that Muhammad copied off the Israelites. This comes from Yusuf Shah. He was minister at Temple Number 2 in Chicago. This is the August 22nd, 1969, Muhammad speaks. He says in his work of trying to convert Israel to Islam, the religion of Allah, Jesus had to learn that Israel was a people made devil. Just Jesus learned that Israel by nature was a people not made to accept the truth, and that they were murderers of the truth bearers, the prophets. Jesus denounced them as being such in Matthew 23 and 37 in these words, O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, thou that killest the prophets and stonest them which are sent to thee. This is what Jesus said to the Jews. But since we with this chief hypocrite Louis Eugene, we say we the true Jew. Even though that contradicts what the messenger taught. The messenger taught us all the prophets have tried to convert the devil, or the white race, or the Israelite, or the Jew, or the Hebrew, however you want to call it. But the messenger said, all the prophets have tried to reform the devil, but they all failed. Jesus, the messenger, said, learn that he couldn't reform the devil. He learned their history, just like Yusuf Shah said. And this is why in Matthew 23, Jesus says, O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, thou that killest the prophets and stonest them which are sent unto thee. He says Jerusalem here does not refer to a city. It refers to a people, Israel. For Israel killed prophets in other parts of the country other than Jerusalem. He says, actually, the city of Jerusalem itself did not kill the prophets. The reason we charge Jerusalem with being the killer of the prophets is because Jerusalem was the city where the evil brains who ruled had their seat of authority. So that's the teachings of the message. Then we can go to the message. This comes from the December 28th, 1973, Muhammad speaks. The messenger says, he said, though Jesus, as God taught me, was actually believing that he could convert the Jews until he learned the history of the Jews. Then he changed his mind and denounced them as being a race of devils, and his word of truth had no place in them. because there was no truth in them by nature. That's the teachings of the message. So why would Muhammad try to follow the Jews if he want to make his people a better people? Why would he go to a people who murdered the prophets? Not only did it say they murdered the prophets, but those who were sent to them. Any righteous person that was sent to a Jew, Jesus said they murdered him. So how can you prove that Prophet Muhammad learned from a Jew when you don't even have any history where the Jews followed a prophet? Where Jews submitted to what a prophet taught. But this is just one of the ways that we could just debate them and crush them. You have no way to prove. No way that Jesus or Muhammad copied off of Israelites. So let's go even further with Malcolm X.
Enjoying the show? Help keep us on the air. 313-371-7033. That's 313-371-7033 to make a donation.
So it goes on to say, he says, I find a jam-packed audience to hear me alone, facing 6 or 8 students and faculty scholars, heads of departments such as sociology, psychology, physiology, history, and religion, and each of them coming at me in his specialty. He enjoyed the excitement and challenge of these verbal battles with students and faculty, fought with intellectual and philosophical bullets. This was Malcolm X, following the teachings of the message, because we don't have a history of beating up on people who don't know. We don't have a history of being out of order ourselves. Then we go out in the public and try to tell them what they need to do. The messenger says, you got to do for self. That's our basics of everything you do, you got to do for yourself. Yes. The first thing that we as Muslims have to do is clean ourselves up and devise ourselves of the devil's hand. Yes, but they let these porky pig niggas, because if he a big fat porky pig all the time eating nigga now. What was he before he followed Bishop? The same fat porky pig eat all the time nigga. He couldn't be no minister for the message. Because when you come in the door, messengers say your first thing is to clean yourself up and devise yourself of the devil's hat. So when the messenger put a minister before the public, he already cleaned himself up. He already got himself in order. So when he telling the people the messenger's teachings, the minister is an example of that. What this porky pig brother an example of? Nothing at all. How can he tell if I'm a Muslim? I look how I look. How this brother about to tell me that my God is an idol God if he hasn't even cleaned himself up? His God don't even require him to clean himself up before he goes to God's children. The people who blind, deaf, and dumb. The people who in the mud. You telling them what God wants. The messenger said, I remember a brother told me that when he made lieutenant, the captain told him, I'm not going to have you do nothing or say nothing to these brothers that you not doing. So a lieutenant had to be able to sell as many or more papers than the brothers he owned. And he can't be just because he the lieutenant. He's selling 100 papers. But this brother's selling 300. And he telling him what to do. It don't work like that in Islam. You can't tell nobody to do what you ain't doing. That's Islam. Now let's go to one of my favorite people. This is Dick Gregory. Dick Gregory is on YouTube It says, Dick Gregory explains the power of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's teaching. Now, why do I like Dick Gregory so much? Because like all of us as black people, Dick Gregory used to make fun of the Muslims. Just like everybody. When the messenger used to talk about how to eat to live, Dick Gregory used to think it was fun. Dick Gregory was a Christian. He was a hog eater. He smoked cigarettes. So Dick Gregory, in this is called Dick Gregory the Muslims. He telling these jokes before white people, making fun of Muslims. Talking about how Muslims don't eat pork. This how Dick Gregory started out. But the one thing about the teachings of the messenger, once you see it, you never be the same. I don't care what you say. Once you hear the teachings of the messenger, you see those who follow him, you will never be the same. Dick Gregory, January 29th, 1965, Muhammad speaks. Dick Gregory had dinner with the messenger. So Dick Gregory began to actually come around Muslims. It says, honored guests at a recent dinner in the Chicago home of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the messenger of Allah, famed comedian and rights fighter, Dick Gregory puts the world-renowned Muslim leader in high spirits with his humor. So you can see the messenger laughing because this was the first time I saw in a Muhammad speech the messenger smile. I remember how I felt the first time I saw, because all of the pictures that I usually see of the messenger, he usually looking for real. When you see him being interviewed, when you see him talking. And I can still remember the first time I saw the messenger smile. That did something to me, like the messenger smile. Because sometimes, even as a Muslim, you forget the messenger was a human like we human. You know, he smiled and laughed and listened to jokes and stuff like that. He was just for real. But you can see Dick Gregory coming around Muslims. And just like everybody who come to the home of the messenger, Dick Gregory saw that picture of Master Farad Muhammad. Everybody had to come to the messenger's house. You looking around like, oh, this Mr. Muhammad's house. Looking at his pictures, and everybody come across that picture of God in person. Yes. So Dick Gregory, seeing all of this that he saw the messenger, this is another documentary. This documentary is called Soul Food and Black Culinary Traditions in America. This was a documentary talking about the history of black people in our food. The brother who made the documentary, his name was Byron Hurt. He said when he was coming up, the only people he knew who was talking about eating healthy was Elijah Muhammad and the Muslims and Dick Gregory. He said there was the only two people in his life that he ever heard talk about healthy eating. So they got Dick Gregory in the documentary. He giving all the credit to the message. He ain't saying, yeah, me and Elijah. No, he said the beautiful thing about Elijah Muhammad. He said even though a lot of black people wasn't Muslim, he said, but Mr. Muhammad still changed our diet. He said, my mama not a Muslim. He said, but she heard Mr. Muhammad talk about the whole, and she stopped eating pork. This Dick Gregory. She talking about the message. But in this particular video, this is the one I want to deal with, talking about these Porky Pig brothers. Dick Gregory in this video is called Dick Gregory Explains the Power of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's Teachings. This is what Dick Gregory says. He says there was one person in this country that brought us the problem and solved.
That's the first point. He didn't say that the messenger brought us a problem and he tried to do something about it. He said he brought us the problem and he solved it. This Dick Gregory, same black man that was making jokes. Making jokes before you can hear the white people just chuckling and slapping their knees when he cracking his jokes. He the same one who now after he saw the messenger's flowers, he said there was one person in this country that brought us the problem and solved it. Without switching you from one drug to another, methadone, without a federal grant. If that man would have been a white man, we would all know we had the solution. He said the solution. He didn't just say, oh, this Elijah Muhammad was like Dr. King, he made some speeches. No, he said he brought us this problem because they was talking about the drug problem. He said he brought it to us and he solved the problem. If this man was a white man, we would have knew we had the solution. Then he goes on to say, he says his name was Elijah Muhammad. He said, now you black folks know, because there was a lot of black people in her. He said, if anybody know, you black folks know. He said, because he took our mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters, sons and daughters, nieces and nephews, aunts and uncles and cousins, took them up out of the gutter, hooked to all kinds of drugs, all kinds of whiskey, all kinds of everything, with pot-marked faces and bloodshot eyes. This Dick Gregory never accepted the teaching of the messenger. But the messenger said, I'll make the truth so plain, even a fool can't it. So Dick Gregory saw that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, not an Israelite, not a spook worshiper, but a Muslim, saw a real life problem and solved. Because I want to say to IUIC, like I always do, show us your God. Because the thing that we got to remember, the only way you can prove to us that our God is, you got to show us who God is. Because we show you who our God is. We always do. The messenger said, God came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, July 4th, 1930. He came to Black Bottom, Detroit. The black man had many serious problems. He gave his messenger the solution. So when we tell you to show us your God, we ain't talking about telling us about something in the Bible. Because when you look at the Bible, all of the enemies or all of the people in the Bible are baby devils. Pharaoh was a baby devil compared to Biden and Donald Trump. Pharaoh during the time of Moses, he didn't control the whole world. Babylon, baby devil. Sodom and Gomorrah, baby devil. The Roman Empire, baby devil. But all of the prophets prophesied about that mystery Babylon. They said, who can make war with the beast? So when we telling you to show us, we ain't talking about a spook that you saying in the Bible. We talking about during the time of this mystery Babylon. During the time when they say, who can make war with the beast? Master Farad Muhammad came. And he made war with the beast. The beast kidnapped his people. Took us in chains. Brought us over here on the good ship Jesus. The messenger said the white man created a problem that we didn't know that it would take God to solve. That's what we talking about. when we say, show us your God.
Yes, sir.
Because the black man has problems that only God can solve. That's why Dick Gregory was so amazed. If he was a white man, we would have knew we had the solution. So the thing that I like about this with Dick Gregory, he said mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters, sons and daughters, nieces and nephews, aunts and uncles, and cousins. He didn't leave out nobody. That's the message. He said you black people know because he took our mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers, sons and daughters, aunties and uncles and cousins that was addicted to all kind of drugs, all kind of whiskey, and all kind of everything else, with pockmarked faces, bloodshot eyes. Then he said, and when he gave them back to us, their faces were smooth as velvet, and their eyes was white as snow, and they walked with the dignity like the sun would touch their head. He said, how did they do it? He said he rearranged his diet. This was Dick Gregory talking about the message. And this is why the messenger said, I'll be the winner whether I'm living or dead.
Teach, brother.
We can sit around with this cheap hypocrite Louis Eugene and act like we scared of these big fat pot-bellied hungry niggas. And we ain't gonna say, I wish we was in a nation of Islam like the message. Like FOI used to be. Because under the message, fighting was a part of Islam.
Yes.
You will be hard pressed to meet a Muslim who either not practicing martial arts now, used to practice martial arts, a boxer, do wrestling. Fighting used to be a part of Islam.
Yes.
So in our FOI dues, or our charity, there was a certain portion of your charity that goes into a FOI fund. The FOI fund was specially designated to bail brothers out of jail for fighting for the cause. That was a part of being a FOI. The captain knew his job was to rally the believers around the brothers who locked up for fighting for Islam. You supposed to, if you a Muslim, you get locked up. You supposed to call the captain. He's supposed to come with the money to come bail you out. It's supposed to be lawyers waiting for you to help you fight in court. Not only the messenger even taught us a fight song.
Yes.
It's a fight song in the fighting is a part of Islam.
Yes, it is.
But not today. These fat brothers, big porky pig brothers, big dirty, just standing out there freely. The Muslim God is an idol God. He ain't got one lump, one hickey, one black eye, this big fat pot belly brother. Messenger said, I'll be the winner, whether I'm living or dead.
Yeah.
He said, my only job was to give you a clear delivery of the message.
That's right.
He said, my job is not to sit around and watch. He said, I'm only to deliver the message. Tell you what God told me. So let's go even further with this message. Let's go to this doctor. This doctor's name is Jason Fung. It's Fung. Because the teachings of the messenger today has become widely accepted. No matter how much these big fat pot-bellied porky pig niggas don't accept, the truth that the messenger taught is widely accepted by medical doctors now. This doctor name is Jason Fung. He says reversing type 2 diabetes with fasting variation. Long before these doctors accepted.
Yes.
Now let's go to the message. This comes from the June 21st, 1958 Pittsburgh Carol. The messenger says, he says, the belief in a God other than man, a spirit, Allah has taught me goes back into the millions of years long before Yaqub, the father of the white race, or the father of the devil. Because the knowledge of God was kept as a secret from the public. That's number one. The messenger says, the black man, or the teaching of God being other than man, goes back. He says the belief in God other than man or spirit, Allah has taught me, goes back into the millions of years, long before Yaqub, the father of the devils, because the knowledge of God was kept as a secret from the public. So God being a spook and a spirit, that teaching goes back into the millions of years, because the messenger says this is the first time that the true knowledge of God was taught in the public. Then he goes on to say, this is the first time that it has ever been revealed, and we, the poor, rejected, and despised people, are blessed to be the first of all the people of earth to receive this secret knowledge of God. That's what the messenger taught. We the first to know. This devil coming out 94 years talking about how to reverse type 2 diabetes. This is something that the messenger was teaching us since the 30s.
Yes.
But the messenger said we lucky to be the first to receive this secret knowledge of God. Then he goes on to say, he says, if this people, the white race, would teach you truth which has been revealed to me, they would be hastening their own doom. For they were not created to teach us the truth, but rather to teach us falsehood, just contrary to the truth. This is the white race. Because this knowledge is not something that's new to the white man. Because when you listen to this doctor in his video, he talks about studies that devils was doing in the 50s. They was noticing that when any people comes to the West or Western civilization, they begin to have health problems that they didn't have before. They talked about the African brothers. They said they never had diabetes, never had cancer, never had tooth decay, never had high blood, never. That's hard for us to believe. These illnesses that we are so troubled with, that's common to us. Other people don't even never have until they come to the white race. Be a part of the white race's civilization. So now this devil, or this Chinese person, is telling us that you can reverse type 2 diabetes with fasting. Let's go back to the message. Now let's go to the August 27, 1965, Muhammad speaks. It says, how to eat to live. The messenger says, as taught to me by our Savior, Master Farad Muhammad. Never has the fact. He always let it be known. We used to believe in a spook. We used to believe in a mystery God. But God has come in person. So now the messenger say, I don't teach the coming of God. I teach the presence of God in person. So the messenger says, he says, eat one meal a day or one meal every other day, and it will prolong your life. Do not think that you will starve. On the contrary, you will be treating yourself to life, and a life filled with sickless days. You can hardly get sick eating this way. If I know, he says, I know because I have this experience. If you eat the proper food, which I have given to you from Allah, in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, to whom praise be forever, in this column, you will hardly even have a headache. In eating once a day or once every other day, you must not eat between meals. And you should try to eat at the same hour tomorrow as you eat today. Do not change your meal hours if you can't help it. These causes your stomach to react to various hours of the day for a meal and will set up gas on the stomach. Do not eat, even drink juice, milk, or soft drinks between meals. And do not eat candies or fruits between meals. You are welcome to drink water, but I know you will not want too much water between meals since your stomach will not call for it. You may drink coffee between meals, but do not fill your cup with half sugar and half cream and pour coffee on top of that. And in parentheses, he has a smile. He says, this that I am trying to teach you is the way that He, Allah, Almighty Allah, has taught me for you. He said, this is what God taught me to teach. But Porky Pig, he needs to learn what God taught. He's sitting up there talking about our God is an idol when this Porky Pig don't even know how to eat right. He don't even know how to control his weight. He looked like he got diabetes and high blood pressure. This big fat Porky Pig. So the messenger goes on. He says, sure, sugar diabetes can be controlled and driven out with your abstinence from eating sugar and starchy foods. And with your corrected way of eating once a day or once every day, if starting in time, you will become negative of sugar in your blood. If you are a victim of sugar diabetes, you should not eat white or sweet potatoes. And even if you are not a victim of diabetes, you should not eat too much of any starchy food, such as potatoes and whatnot. And positively no sweet potatoes. You should be careful of eating this type of food. The messenger. Long before the white man started teaching, just like Dick Gregory said, if he was a white man, we would have knew we had the solution. Look how many black people talking about they plant-based. All they talking about the intermittent fasting. All this stuff that the messenger taught. But they accept it better when they hear it from the devil. That's why Malcolm X. You get what the messenger's saying, you hit them with that first. But when they don't believe it, you hit them with the white man. So now it's easier for us to understand how we can control type 2 diabetes. It all came from God in person. Master Farad Muhammad. We always got to show his picture. This is the picture of God. This is the God that came July 4th, 1930. To Black Bottom, Detroit, seeking to save that which is lost. So let's go on even further than that. Let's go to the August 13th, 1965, Muhammad speaks. It says, How to Eat to Live, Part 7, on fast. This how much the messenger, all by himself, was teaching us how to eat to live. He wasn't teaching us what some spook told. He taught him what God in person taught him. So the messenger goes on. He says fasting is a greater cure of our ills, both mental and physical, than all of the drugs of the earth combined into one bottle or a billion bottles. Allah God, in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, has taught me that fasting with the right kinds of food is the cure for our ills. He has said to me that there is no cure in drugs and medicine, and this the world is now learning. But this Porky Pig nigga telling us our God is an idol. We sit back Detroit that our God is an idol when the world is learning what our God came and taught us in the 30s.
Yes.
The messenger said we lucky to be the first to get this secret knowledge of God. But we don't feel lucky. We feel ashamed. We let this dirty brother, this hungry brother, disrespect our God, and we don't give our God no defense. This the messenger said, and this the world is now learning. We can take medicine all of our lives until it kills us, yet we are still ailing with the same old diseases. The bad foods and drinks that we are putting into our bodies keep us a victim to illness. There are not too many nice doctors who like to tell you that drugs are not good for you because they are paid for they paid for their learning and want to keep practicing. This the message.
Yes, sir.
Telling us that it's very few doctors, it ain't a lot of nice doctors like you got today. Since the messenger had already pulled the covers off. They weren't telling us this at all, but the messenger was.
Right.
God's last and greatest message. Where was these big fat porky pig niggas? These IUIC, because bus stop bishop. He telling the black man that the Bible has the solutions to our problem. Because he copied everything the messenger said. The messenger said he has the divine solution. Now bus stop bishop gonna say, the Bible has the solution to our problem. So if the Bible got the solution to our problem, why this brother still a porky pig? This brother your main guy. And he can't even control but the Bible. Ain't nothing in Leviticus or these dietary laws that break down the science of eating. None of that. Talking about what cheweth the cud and all. That's why this brother's still fat. He don't know the science of eating. Because he don't know God. He rejects God. And he don't even know he's a disbeliever. He's headed for the fiery flame. So the messenger goes on. He says there are not too many nice doctors who like to tell you that drugs are not good for you because they pay for their learning and want to keep practicing. But how to eat to live is what we want to know and have wanted to know all our lives. He says, Allah taught me that one meal a day would keep us here for a long time. We would live over 100 years. Eating one meal every 2 days would lengthen our lives just that much longer. He said to me that you would never be sick eating one meal every 3 days. The fact that fasting is the cure of 90% of our ills is known by the medical scientists, but they do not teach you that. That's the message. Because when God chose the message, this is something we got to understand. When God chose the message, or Allah chose the message, he didn't choose some ordinary man. He chose a special man. The messenger was a special black man. He was the kind of black man that could love the black man. That's the kind of man. Niggas like Bishop don't love the black man. He'll let this big fat porky pig looking nigga stand up there and be all unhealthy. He don't got nothing to say to him. This hypocrite Lewis. He'll let this fat porky pig nigga talk about the one who made him famous. Talk about the greatest benefit to the black man that ever lived. And he don't say nothing to defend him. Because he wasn't chosen by God. God chose the messenger. And the messenger loved the black man.
Yes,
Even though he had all kind of hypocrites. Even though his family turned against him. Some of his closest followers ended up being hypocrites who hated him. But he did his job. He got the truth to the black man. Even if he had to use a hypocrite like Louis Eugene. Even if he had to use a hypocrite like Malcolm. Even if he had to use a hypocrite like his son Wallace. We still got the truth. That's one thing about the message. Say use them hypocrites. He was talking about how the nation is honeycomb with hypocrites. That didn't stop the message. Even though you're a hypocrite, sell these papers, hypocrite. Teach, hypocrite. Send your lectures in to me every week. That's what hypocrites like Lewis don't tell. He tried to make himself seem like he was so special. Messenger had brothers watching him. It was brothers watching this hypocrite because they didn't trust this hypocrite. Right. They saw that he was friends with Malcolm. That's why the messenger chose this hypocrite to speak against Malcolm. Because they saw how friendly he was with him. The messenger saw him. Messenger kept his eye on this hypocrite. Tell everybody, send your lectures in. He kept a close eye on this hypocrite. Hypocrite did a good job. I give him his credit. But as soon as the messenger passed away, the hypocrite was able to be the hypocrite he always wanted to be. He hated the messenger. This hypocrite got lectures he done came out with talking about he thought the messenger was jealous of him. How you gonna say out your mouth to believe? That's how you know they some hypocrites too. If I'm sitting here listening to a brother talk, and you tell me, why do you think the messenger would be jealous of you? They asked in the messenger, it was in the New York Times. Not only did Dick Gregory see how the messenger was transforming the black man, but you also had medical doctors who saw how the messenger was transforming the black man without using no drugs. And they was wondering, how in the world can this black man transform all of these hardcore alcoholics, hardcore dope addicts? Did he take criminals from prison and he transformed them? He ain't using no drugs. What is he doing? This was the message. How could a man like that be jealous of you? A calypso singing nigga. A weed smoking. What calypso singing nigga do you know? Only calypsos is Harry Bella, and the only reason why we know him because he started acting. We don't know him from the calypso stuff. This nigga used to sing calypso. And he think the messenger was jealous of a calypso nigga. That's how we get. Messenger teach you a little bit of wisdom and people start liking you. Now you think, oh, he jealous of me. When the messenger tell you not to do something you think you supposed to be able to do, he say, no, I don't think you should. He just jealous of me. Because in this article, with Malcolm, the professor said that the messenger stopped Malcolm from debating in them colleges. Because it says that the messenger felt like Malcolm is just attracting a whole lot of white people. He debating at Harvard and Yale. Ain't no black students there. Go somewhere else and do it. So later on, they say, Malcolm said the messenger did that because he was jealous of him. That's how niggas do. You using the messenger's teachers to do what you doing. How he jealous of you? You didn't even know how to speak. Write a complete sentence before, but now he jealous of you. That's hypocrite. Yes. So now these hypocrites is free to do what they always wanted to do. And this is why the messenger taught us about hypocrites. He said hypocrites build mosques as a shelter for the enemies of Islam. Yes. You got to remember that. When you see all of these fake ministers who ain't saying nothing for the message, but they pretending like they got a temple. Hypocrites build mosques as a shelter for the enemies of Islam. believe that. Because if you love the message, what minister who making lectures, who love the message, has absolutely nothing to say to Bishop? If you go on YouTube, all these Muslims on social media, you got to know, because the messenger said in his time, the nation of Islam is honeycomb with hypocrite. It's still honeycomb.
Yes.
You got to be able to recognize a hypocrite. How can you have so many Muslims who in December about to come? Look at all the brothers that's about to say, Ramadan Mubarak. You know, they know how to say all the Arabic stuff and all praise is due to Allah. But won't one Muslim say nothing for the message? Because if these Muslims would speak up for the message, it would expose their hypocrisy. You don't want to really get into it with Bishop because you really don't believe it yourself. You don't believe that Master Farad Muhammad really God. So you don't want to go all the way with it. Because Bishop might ask you a question that you really don't believe and you really ain't going to answer. That's why you see brothers not saying nothing. It ain't so much that these brothers want to be so brotherly. Oh, he's my black. No, you a hypocrite. You a hypocrite trying to hide. And the messenger says, Allah comes at the hypocrites in a way they least expect. All these Muslims in Detroit, ain't nobody saying nothing about stuff. All these Muslims all over the country, not one response for bus stop. You got to ask yourself, why not? Messengers say we should feel lucky to be the first to get this secret knowledge of God. The messenger said it ain't too many nice doctors that's going to teach you this. Now you got the whole medical world bearing witness to the message. You got lost five bearing witness to the message.
Yes, sir.
Where the Muslims at? Hypocrites. Gotta know.
Yes, sir.
Hypocrites wear bow ties. Hypocrites is ministers. Hypocrites is lieutenants. Hypocrites is MGT. Hypocrites, the messengers say, me and women.
Yes.
Young and old. That's why you don't see them defending Master Farad Muhammad. Let's go on even further with the message. We can even go all the way back to 1956. The messenger, the only one teaching us about proper eating. This comes from the August 11, 1956 Pittsburgh Carrier. It's called, If the Civilized Man Fails to Perform His Duty, What Must Be Done? That's a very important topic. The civilized man, supposed to teach civilization to the uncivilized. That's what the messenger taught. We civilized when we become Muslim. So our job as civilized men is to teach civilization to the uncivilized, the poison animal eaters, the spook worshippers. These is all the people who don't know, or these are the people that the civilized man is supposed to teach. We're not supposed to let a spook worshiper teach us. He ain't civilized. He believes in a mystery God, something that he hasn't seen, or nobody else has seen. An all-wise, true and living spook God. We're not supposed to let him teach us. We know about the true and living God.
Right.
That can be seen and heard the world over. How we gonna let a spook worship teach us about God and tell us that the true and living God is I? So let's go with the message. He says the white race's civilization will never work for us. They taught you and me to eat the wrong food, both physical and mental. Allah God has blessed America with plenty, not because she is good. All kinds of foods, enough to spare for every hungry person the world over. After receiving this great blessing, she eats and drinks the divinely forbidden food and drinks at the same time. After receiving this great blessing, she eats and drinks the divinely forbidden food and drinks, and at the same time, blessed with the best. Millions of pounds of beef, lamb, chicken, and fish of all kinds. Yet she eats the dirty, filthy hog to Allah's dislike and almost forces the so-called Negroes to eat. Or I would say everyone. She drinks more alcoholic drinks than anyone else. She is blessed with so much wheat that she can hardly find room to store it, and will even burn it to raise the price. Yet she teaches the so-called Negroes to eat cornbread and hog, both of which are slow death to the people in the southern parts of this country, America. This is the message. Teaching us the proper way to eat. How many people taught the black man that cornbread was killing us? Nobody. How many people taught us to stop drinking whiskey? Stop eating hog? This is what the messenger was doing since the 30s. We got the messenger on record when nobody else cared. He said God came. And we are lucky to be the first. Because if God didn't come and raise a message, we wouldn't notice at all. Because everybody else come after the smoke settles. After the white man just took his foot off the black man's neck a little bit. Now you got all these doctors talking about how you can fight diabetes. Talking about fasting. You got all these black groups trying to tell the black man what the Bible says. But the messenger said, we should be lucky, or we should feel lucky, that we're the first ones to get this secret knowledge of God. So God came and first started with our doubt. Because the messenger said we got to clean ourselves up. Clean ourselves up from the devil's habits. So it was the messenger who taught us about our names. He told us that these names chain us to the white race. He talked about our diet. He said we dig our graves with our teeth. This was the message. So let's go on even further than that. He says, my people have been reared on such poisoned foods, and now all the doctors in the world can't tell them that it is not good for them. All hogs contain trichina, called porkworms, whose larvae infest the intestines and muscles of the hog eaters. This animal hog is one of Allah's most hated and never was intended to eat. He is made for medical purposes. God made him for the white race because of their physical weakness, which came from being grafted from the original nation, thus making them a prey to attract germs and diseases. Therefore, they demand a superior poison germ for medical purposes to cure the many diseases that they attract. This Allah God has taught me and much more on this subject. But space won't permit me to go further on this. This is the message. Teaching us what God taught him. God is the one who came and taught him about the heart. Because Bus Stop Bishop now, since they say we copying off of them, they say, well, the Bible always said that we should eat. Why this brother look like a hog eater then? He a follower of the Bible. They got a lot of these big fat pot. Let's go look at these brothers again. Because Bus Stop Bishop say the Bible say. The Bible in Leviticus say that we ain't supposed to, but you got all of these big porky pig brothers in your organization, out front. But he'll tell us the Bible say. Messenger taught us. He said the white race wrote the Bible to hide the truth from the black man. So all these lying just take what the messenger taught and add it to the Bible. Then they try to say that's what the Bible says. The Bible was worthless to us until the messenger came. Worthless. We didn't know nothing. We didn't know whether God was saying we could eat the hog or we couldn't eat the hog. We didn't know if God was a spirit, if God was a man, if God was invisible. Did Moses see him in the bush? We didn't know nothing about God until he came. He came himself and raised the message. We got to be thankful for that. Especially in this day and time. We got to be thankful to Allah for his coming. He came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad. July 4th, 1930. He came seeking to save that which is lost. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said he became acquainted with Allah in 1931. He said God taught him for 3.5 years. He said he taught him the knowledge of both books, Bible and Holy Quran. We see that the messenger was on his post for 44 years. He didn't get off his post until death took him away.
Yes, sir.
This is the messenger of God. Well, brothers and sisters, we don't want to prolong the time. So I'll leave you as I came in the Nation of Islam, greeting words of peace of Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Enjoying the show? Help keep us on the air. 313-371-7033. That's 313-371-7033 to make a donation.
Brothers and sisters, we rise for prayer. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Merciful, Soul Master's Day of Judgment in which we now live. The alone do we serve, and the alone seek for thine help and aid. O Allah, please guide us on the right path, path of those upon whom thou bestow thy favors, not on the path of those upon whom thy wrath is brought down, nor those who go astray after they heard thy teachings. Say he, Allah is one God. Allah is he of whom nothing is independent, but upon whom we all depend. He begetteth not, nor is he begotten, there is none like him. And I bear witness that none is earth to be served, worship, or praise besides Allah, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad. And I bear witness that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is thy true servant and last apostle. Ameen. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us not to do anything to anyone that we wouldn't have done it to ourselves and treat everybody right, even the devil. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.